All right, so a pretty eventful Raw. I was like, last week was kind of just, stagnant, everybody tired, WrestleMania weekend, that whole thing. This week, I felt like they pretty much was like, okay, cool, we're going to show you how we're going to start doing things this year. And, I always temper my stuff really low because I'm like, you can't have every day basically be special because then after a while you gotta always kind of one up it and thus everything will start to be special. But this was an eventful Raw. I was like, which thing do we get out the way? You know what? Let's go ahead and get the big news out the way of Rhea. It sucks. I was seeing on the internet, basically on Twitter, basically that that she might have to vacate and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I was like that. I was like, okay, maybe it's like this storyline. Then after a while, you keep on seeing it. Then after a point, you're like, okay, no, this is kind of serious. And it's like, all right. And then it's kind of like I was like, I didn't see where like that like they divulged where the injury happened. Although I remember last week when she was doing, I was like, if it did happen with the live thing, it did seem it was like not the chair thing, but I was like when she got slammed into the wall and Don came over and pushed it before he pushed the camera out. It did look like she was holding this arm, except for she was laying on this arm. So it's almost like it would seem like, oh, that's just part of the bit because she got slammed into the wall. I was like, yeah, she did, but I was like, but when she's like laying on the ground, you could tell she's holding the arm with a sling or whatever. So that's just me just being like video video Sherlock Holmes, I guess. Anyway, she came out. She basically, I was like, it's one of them things where it's like, the crowd knows it, she knows it, we all know it, the I was like, they're not really like hiding the real life nature of stuff anymore. So it's like we all been on the internet. She knows that everybody been on the internet. They're like saying it's bullshit and stuff like that. And she basically just like upset, but she's like, I'll come back stronger than this. Then Liv comes out and nothing really happens. I thought they might try to do like they did with Punk and Drew McIntyre of just like try to let them get into a little bit of a beef, but I was like, once again, we don't know the severity of her arm in the same way that Punk was because like his was in a way where it's like it really couldn't have been messed up anymore, so they went ahead and let like Drew do the stomping bit. But then you see like once he was like in the healing portion, no more of like the touching of it or whatever like that until like WrestleMania where he's able to take that thing off and stuff. And you see him more moving, but he ain't got like touched or nothing. So I thought they were going to do something like that, and they didn't. They really got a lot of people out there already because I guess Liv was already making her way down over there. And I was like, Adam Pearce was there. I really did not know. Like when they were showing Rhea going to the ring, I thought it was just like hell. At first, I thought it was Michael Cole. Then I thought it was just like like some ring announcer that was Samantha Irvin or whatever, and it was him. Okay, cool. Anyway, she had busted dude, and that's pretty much it. It's gonna be. I didn't think. I thought they were going to maybe like do it like the night of the draft or something like that, or Backlash since it's only 2 weeks away. But apparently they're going to do it next week. Which I mean, they're doing a lot of matches next week. I was like, I feel like they heard a lot of people basically talk about like, oh, we want some of these title matches to happen on regular programming. So they're like, all right, cool. We're gonna have they're basically gonna have a bunch of fighting channels, and maybe this might get the titles changed a little bit more, especially on TV. But I to I don't know who you could really put it on. And like I said, like this is why I thought it would be at the draft because I was like everybody could be there. Whereas like here, now that WrestleMania season is over, they're sort of back to just except for Cody, everybody's staying on their same program. So like to be honest, I really think Nia is the only one, just because I think Liv is they're giving her something to do. So I think she got to be the chaser in all of this. She got to be the one going after the title. Nia basically is the only one that's been toe to toe with Rhea and been a monster throughout the whole thing, and also beating Becky, who was basically the number one contender to Rhea as well too. And her and Liv got beef. I was like, other opponent for Raquel got beef with Nia. I was like, Zoe got beef with. So it's like, if you think about it, everybody that basically Rhea ran through also have the same issue with Nia, that they got ran through by her as well too. So that's why I'm like, she should be the champ, because I'm like, now I was like, you got these people who Nia just obliterated on the way to Rhea, whereas you can't give it to Liv because storyline Raquel is still having like Kane, like except for Elimination Chambers, she hadn't really been around. uh Zoe, I was like, she sort of had her little like moment last year, and I don't know where I was like she's at. Shayna, they never really built back up. You see where I'm going with this, like, and I was like, did anybody on SmackDown? I was like, Jade, no, she's too. I was like, she still is like new here. Bianca, I was like, you could just be safe with it. I was like, that's a candidate. I was like, no, Tiffany got to be a chaser, and I was like, you could have EO do it and just like reestablish them in control in a different way. But there's really, I was like, I think they're gonna give it. I think it's gonna be Bianca or Nia. And also, what I was like, later on, Nia said something about it, and she was like, anybody I haven't met yet or faced yet, because that's what she basically said. Like, she purposely, like, you got to hear what people talk. It was purposely in what she was saying about that she was basically like, somebody I ain't faced yet. And I was like, I know everybody wants the Jade thing because it happened in Royal Rumble. I'm like, no, because they're not gonna they're not gonna do the title thing on her like that. They're not gonna hot shot her that type of way. So that's why I think it's Bianca, because that's the only really one that's formidable to Nia in a way that's like, okay, cool. Like, she's safe, she's reliable, she's already a top tier talent, and all the other stuff. And she basically is I was like, her and Rhea are like really the two faces of the women's division. So I was like, that's why I see it going. I was like, we also had the tag team matches to see who will face face Awesome Truth. And I was like, the reason why I want to get to this first before the other part of it, but basically New Day, DIY, and Creed Brothers. I was like, DIY got the match, which I mean is understandable. They've all been sort of a clique. I was like, the whole DX thing, Triple H, the Tommaso Ciampa thing. I was like, so it makes sense. I'm not gonna lie, the tag teams have been very clunky in their matches. Like, the WrestleMania match was kind of clunky. I was like, this was kind of clunky. A lot of the Raw matches with all of them have been clunky. Where that was like the Creed brothers. I was like it's just been awkward. Like, they don't have no synergy at times, but they do such great shit that it's kind of like you ignore it. You know, like the part of the end of the match where it's like Justin like suplexes Kofi, but then Xavier hits him with the elbow, and then I was like, to break up the pin, DIY do their I was like, I forget the name of the move, but I was like, and where they just slam into him and they won the match. So the reason I did that first, because I'm like, it was a good match, even though with clunky spots and stuff like that. To basically go to the fact that R-Truth and Miz got the new tag team championship. They're the world tag team champions, which I guess the other ones on SmackDown will be the WWE championship. Now, on one hand, I will say those titles I think are ugly. And I know it's always a thing with everybody that always talk the titles or whatever. But this is really the first one I looked at and I was like, they look like pennies. They look like they're really, really bulbous and huge. And like, look, after a certain time, it won't even matter. Nobody's gonna care or whatnot. But I was like, they're like, unlike the World Heavyweight Championship, I was like, oh, it's weird looking, but I didn't have a problem with it. It's just gonna be like, I'm gonna take some time to do it. These are really just like, oh, okay. And also, I didn't think that these needed to be called the World Tag Team Championships, and the other ones I'm pretty sure are gonna be the WWE Tag Team Championship, because I was like, they're like, unlike the titles, the WWE Championships. So like, I think that the tag team match should stay colored. Like, I never understood why the Universal Championship was colored when it was like there's another championship over here you don't have to have that one be the color of the brand when there's already a separate one over here. You can just have it be whatever color. It doesn't have to switch because of the brand. I was like, these are literally brand sided, and maybe I was like, but now I think about it, the way I feel like the reason why is because these teams are going to switch, and or even if they don't, now they can all switch and they ain't gotta do that title exchange shit no more. They don't have to do that because the brand isn't embedded with the title anymore. So I was like, so I was like, now I thought about it. That's why. Hey, listen, we all make mistakes of thinking. Hey, that's why we think and we just go through it. And I was like, sometimes sometimes you gotta do your own proofreading. So I was like, I still think they're ugly, but I get it, I understand it. Also, I was like, and before we get to like the last little bit of the ending of the stuff, other things in between it. One, I was like, uh, the Maxine, Ivy Niles, Candace, and Indy, I think is one. I was like, I'm glad they got a crowd that actually. One, I was like understand, but also sort of likes a couple of the characters too, because I like normally this segment doesn't get any reaction, even though they're doing story like unlike the Chelsea Piper Niven versus the Party Girls. I like that one, which is a regular match. Which I was like, it's fine. I was like, Chelsea and Piper sort of needed a win after she been getting crushed by Jade here. But the other one, I was like, there's actually a story here with Candice LeRae being like, don't you want to win? You don't want to win. She didn't even high five her at the steps, some petty stuff. But then Indy seemed like I don't know if she's fully on board with Candace, and this is the whole part of the story, or did she just realize an opportunity that was like, oh, okay, cool, I get what you're trying to say, like, like maybe she don't like Candace doing dirty shit, but maybe she's like, oh, I get what you're saying of like seizing opportunity, because it's like while the ref was over here turned, she basically just blindside kicked like Maxine Dupree and threw her partner on top of her to get Candace to get the win, and it's like, yeah, I was like, that's actually fine. Where it's like, it's not dirty. Some of the stuff that Candace was doing was dirty, but it's also it was like nothing was too out of the way. So maybe while we might get Candace being healed, Indy might just be in between or whatever, where she's doing things and she sees an opportunity to win, but people aren't going to like it, kind of thing. But so I do like the story they're telling. I just don't think there's any. There's nothing behind none of these characters yet, but that's not. I think that's more so to the fact that these four women like are really part of that next wave. Like they're still so young and green in a way that like they still got to get the characters going. They got to get like Maxine Dupree just like broke out like a hook suplex today, and I was like, that's new. But I was like, you could like she's learning or whatever, and I think that stuff that happened was like on all the socials not too long ago. I'm like, good. This is how it not only works in the story that we've seen, but also ramps up her work and all this other stuff. Um, yeah, I was like, we had Andrade versus Dom, which is like always like a good match because I was like, Dom does a really good job of playing to the crowd, and I was like, also now like just like when he does the Three Amigos, and we're like, oh, it sucks. It's like now it's like on purpose, and it makes sense. Then it used to just be like, okay, he's not really fluid here and stuff like that. And Andrade is really just a force of nature. I was like, but I do like the increase that's starting to get with him. I'm like, once again, this crowd I think is a lot better than a lot of other crowds are going to be at. So it's hard to really judge some of these people based off that. Um, but yeah, uh, also in here we got like Damien talking, where they had him backstage and stuff like that. And it sucked because Rhea's gone, and I wanted them to try to be like the Undisputed Era, where it's like they had all the gold, but now, and don't get me wrong, Rhea's gonna win it back as soon as she's able to come back. Like that gonna be crazy. I was like, not gonna lie, they should have Rhea come back like how Triple H used to come back off injuries and stuff like that, where it's just like out of nowhere and he just like the music hits and you just stare at him and he just come down and then just run rough shot against whoever in the ring. That's basically what I was like. Oh man, that's gonna be great. Um, but yeah, no, Finn was talking about getting the tag team down, and I was like, thank you. Except for I want JD and Dom to get the tag team championship, and I want Finn to get like the Intercontinental Championship or whatever like that. That way they can have all the gold or whatever like that. That's just me though. I mean, also Awesome Truth got it, so they should be able to get it with JD. Just saying. Um, Cody came out here, didn't do anything, didn't really talk about anything. They're really, I was like, he sort of hinted at, I guess, of some of the stuff that's happened on SmackDown with the Bloodline. I was like, The Rock, and like, I guess, like, his, like, personal trainer still going to be talking about, like, making Cody bleed. And I was like, but really, he was here to just bring out Jey Uso, and Jay having his whole yeet moment. I was like, he sort of talked about his brother earlier. Not really, just, just like, damn, that sucks, but I gotta do my own thing. Um, Cody did a couple dad jokes where he like, until we yeet again and whatnot. But yeah, Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. I was like, what a really good match. I was like, you got a bunch of athletic dudes or whatever, especially in Finn's case. Jay was gonna get the win, of course, but at the end, kind of, I was like, Damon came out, had a face on face, and then JD, Dom, and Finn just started jumping Jay, and Damien didn't seem like he was all too on about it. Like, he seemed like, why y'all do that? I wanted to have this face to face. Almost like he's like, now that what I feel like they're gonna probably say something about, basically, like, I feel like now that he's champ, he's like, there's things we're not gonna do anymore. And I will say, it's going to be intriguing now that Rhea's not there, what happened, because it seemed like, once Rhea got sent off, that it's like, hey, we need to stop moping around, we need to start focus on the stuff we need to do. And it's like, yeah, but it looks like now there's not going to be any of that. Oh, I got a championship, you got a championship. I was like, I'm the leader, you the leader. I was like, we're doing leader stuff. He's the leader, so we're going to see if there's like a change of things, because it looked like he's like, yeah, I know how we are and whatnot, but I want to do this like a man kind of thing, than being jumping and stuff like that. Jay was able to get escape, going through the crowd, and I thought this shit was cool. Of like Jay going through the crowd, like he went all the way up the steps, and he's like up at the top, and he's just going through the crowd, dapping, yeeting, slapping, yeeting. And one dude got in the way, he sort of pushed him, and that guy looked like he really wanted to say something about, like, your ass moving too damn slow. And I was like, you do, you want to, but he had some people behind him. And he just like going out to the front, and then the next thing you know, he running into Sami, and Sammy's out there just outside, staring up at the sky, talking about how, like, the first time I seen a match and being here and all this other stuff. And Jay's like, yeet. And then Sammy's like, all right, cool. They dap up, blah, blah, blah. I was like, now he going through, but now everybody's hyped because it's Sami. And I was like, Sami litters. I was like, that sucks for the janitors. But he going through the crowd, and it's hype. They just all up on him, loving him. And I was like, oh, this is crazy, because they all hugged up on him. And then he gets to go through, and he's going down the steps. The dude, I was like, which was cool. I was like, a dude had a Canadian flag. It was like signaling to Sami, like take it. Sami like, bet, snatch that thing. Basically went all the way, and that's how he made his entrance. And then we got him versus Gable, and that was a really great match. From the amount of counters that they was having, and it really built up the fact that, even though they only did it for about like a week, that it seemed like they have been around each other quite a bit and trained enough around each other to have each other mannerisms. But basically, once Gable was sort of able to take out Sami's ankle, then Sami just had a hard time doing anything from the sharpshooter, what I thought he was going to put on, because I was like, where they at? To him trying to do his haluva kicks, like, it was just all, and I was like, Gable doing all these spots, all jumping off and stuff like that. and only being successful in like one out of like four of them. But in the end, I was like, I mean, Gable had a gnarly spot where he basically just German suplex Sami into the corner, but then Sami hit him with an exploder. But Sami was able to get the haluva kick, won. Like put the title down, basically, try to say like put out his hand for Gable. Gable sort of took it, but then he just like he like raised Sami's hand. Sami raised Gable's hand. Gable leaves. Sami's family's out there, and I guess like his rabbi or whatever. And I was like, I don't know who the dude was. He just had like, I was like, hell, I'm talking like I don't look like him basically, except for his shit is gray. But once you knew Sami's wife was out there, you knew something was gonna happen, and which it did. Gable came back, German suplex him outside, threw him into the post, threw him across the announcer desk, but pretty much just had him in between the ropes, and just had like an ankle lock on him through the ropes while they like Gable's looking at his wife, Sami is over here in distress towards his wife, while all the people are like, stop it doing it, and that's how the show went off there. So like I said, one Sami and Gable put on a really good match. But I was like, but this is what I'm talking about. I was like, we got the Gable turn. I was like, I'm not even talking about the matches, because the matches are like all good, or they got the story behind it. But we got the Gable turn. We got new tag team championships. We got Rhea having to vacate her championship. I was like, got number one contendership. Uh, yeah, no. So it was a pretty eventful Raw. I was like, I'm down with it. I was like, I appreciate not being, because the one thing you can't do is just be boring. Like I was like, I might not like the match like necessarily like the Party Girls and Piper and Chelsea. Like I like them separately. I just didn't like this match. Um, but but I was like, can't have your show be boring. That's all. That's all. I was like, I just don't want to waste my couple hours, and I'm pretty much a pretty good camper. Anyway, that was a little bit of the Raw recap. I was um, like I said, I was like, I'll probably try to. Maybe we'll get more details of how they're gonna do this vacating championship thing to see who's in it, and then maybe once it's in there, I can figure it out. But like I said, it's either Nia or Bianca as right now. That's who I'm thinking of. Just because I can't see them put on somebody youngish or not the backing of the people just yet. Um, yeah, and those titles were fugly. Other than that, till next time, I'm out.